You're listening to The Monetized Mom, the podcast that teaches moms of faith how to monetize their expertise online to create influence, impact, income, and more importantly, financial independence. I'm your host, Flo Alexander. Let's chat. Hey mama, if you are tuned into this episode, you're probably looking to grow your coaching business. Well, you are in luck. I just released a new training on how to launch a high-ticket program that clients will pay thousands for, even if you don't have your program created. Now, you can access it now at themonetizedmom.com/training. That's themonetizedmom.com/training. Again, that's themonetizedmom.com/training. Now, let's get on with the show. Today, we're going to be talking about how to clarify your messaging so that you can attract more qualified leads. And so if you have been having the challenge of getting qualified leads into your business, into your coaching program, then you definitely want to stay tuned for this. All right. So the one thing that'll turn potential clients away from you, your business, your coaching program, and before they even get a chance to learn more about you, is your messaging. It's kind of like having bad breath. It can completely turn somebody off before they even get to know you. So messaging is that important. You want to make sure that you actually have your messaging correct so that you are attracting qualified leads. And when we say qualified leads, these are people who are your ideal clients, who are in the right place financially, mentally, emotionally, physically, in order for your program, your product, your offer, whatever it is, to be able to give them a transformation. So we want to make sure that we actually get our messaging correct so that we are getting qualified leads. So I actually want to start with just breaking down exactly what messaging is. So when we think about messaging, a lot of times we think about our content, like the words that we say, but we need to look at messaging holistically. So messaging is what you say and also how you say it. It's the tone, it's the feel, it's the look. If we're talking about social media, it's the imagery that you use. All of that goes into your messaging. So when you consider, like, for instance, a luxury brand, they are very specific and intentional about their messaging so that they can attract the right people. So when we're talking about, say, you go to a Louis Vuitton store or a Christian Louboutin or one of those luxury stores, they are very specific about the type of audience that they're actually trying to attract. So when you think about the messaging, they are messaging to people who want quality. They're messaging to people who may want exclusivity. They're messaging to a specific group of people in the way that their imagery is, the words that they use. And even I think it's also funny that a lot of times you'll hear them using people like with a French accent to make it seem more elevated, more luxurious, because for some reason we assign luxury to like a French accent or a British accent or whatever. So these are all things that have to do with messaging. Now compare that to like a McDonald's, say for instance. McDonald's wants you to know it's cheap and it's fast, and they don't care nothing about customer service. And you get that from their messaging. They talk about how things are, well, they used to have $1 menu. I don't know if they have that anymore, but like, hey, it's only $1. It's fast food. Their customer service is terrible, but that's not the point. They're not trying to give you a good experience. So it's all in the messaging. So when it comes to your own business, when it comes to your coaching program and your ability to be able to attract the right people, it all comes down to your messaging and making sure that you actually have the proper, clear messaging to attract the right clients. So write this down. Hopefully you guys have a pen and paper to take notes. Write this down. There are 3 things that you need to be clear on in your messaging if you want to attract the right people in your program. There are 3 very specific things that you need to be able to communicate in your messaging in order to attract the right people into your program, into your coaching business. So if you don't have a pen and paper, go ahead and grab that now. 3 things that you need to have in your messaging. The first thing that you need to be abundantly clear on is in your messaging is who you serve. Who is it that you actually serve? And this is going to be your target audience that you identify. Who is your target audience? Remember, you need to be very specific about who it is that you serve. But the first thing that you need to be clear on in your messaging is who you serve. That's number 1. The second thing that you have to be clear on in your messaging is what you help them with. What is it that you actually help them with? What is your expertise? You know, what is the one thing that you help them get a transformation in? So the second thing that you have to be clear in is your messaging is what you help them with. The third thing that you need to be clear on in your messaging is why you do it. Why do you do it? Now, this is important and it's very nuanced in that it's not your why, it's their why. Why do they need this transformation? What is their desire? What is it that they want? What is the why behind it? So why do you do it? What are you trying to help them accomplish? So again, it's not your why, but it's their why. So there are 3 things that you need to be able to clearly articulate in your message: who you serve, what you help them with, and why you do it. And again, the why is not your why, but their why. Why do they need this help? Why do they want this help? All right. So we call this is what I call your W3 statement. When you combine all 3 of these things into a statement is what I call the W3 statement. And this is the very first thing that I help my clients get very clear on when they come into my program. We get clear on your W3 statement so that you are clearly articulating who it is that you can help, how you can help them, and why they even want your help in the first place. So those are the 3 questions that you need to be answering if you want your messaging to be clear. And if you can't answer these questions, then your messaging is not clear. If you cannot clearly articulate who you serve, and when I say clearly articulate, I don't mean a broad brush. I don't mean something general. Like a lot of people like to say, I serve women, right? I serve millennials. Like being very specific. And again, and it also does not just mean demographics. We're thinking about psychographics as well. So being very clear and specific on all of these 3 things. And if you aren't clear on these 3 things, then your messaging is not clear. And that may be why you're having a problem attracting the right clients into your program and into your business. So the reason that you need to be able to communicate this is because your ideal client is always asking 4 questions. Always 4 questions that are going through their mind. Can this person help someone in my situation? So they're always asking themselves when they're looking at your content, when they're reading your emails, when they're going to your website, they are asking themselves the question, can this person help someone in my situation? AKA, will this work for me? The second question that's going through their mind as they're engaging with you is this person who they really say they are? Can someone else validate them? The third question they're asking is what they're offering worth the investment? So am I going to get a return on my investment? And then the fourth question that they're asking is what they're offering what I need at this time? So the reason that your messaging has to clearly articulate those things is because it helps answer those questions that are going to determine whether or not someone makes the decision to invest with you. So leveraging your content to move someone through a customer journey. And about 7% of your audience is in a phase called the consideration phase. And this is where they're specifically asking these questions. This is where they're deciding between you and someone else. They're weighing their options. They're considering making the investment to get a solution to their problem. And in this phase, they are asking these 4 questions. So if your messaging isn't clear, if your messaging doesn't say, yes, I can help someone like you because you are clear in who you serve. And if your messaging doesn't say, can it help them with their situation by explicitly sharing how you can help them, then they are not going to consider you. Or while they're considering you, they're going to end up deciding with someone else. So this is why your messaging has to be important, because it then answers these questions that someone is going through in their mind to make the buying decision as they are in the consideration phase. So again, you need to be able to answer the 3 things clearly in your messaging in order to answer the 4 things that your ideal client is asking themselves as they're considering making the investment. Even think about it, as you as a consumer yourself, you're going to say, hey, will this work for me? Is there proof that this has worked for someone else? Can someone else validate them? Is what they're offering worth the investment? So you want to know if it's going to be an ROI, and that's not always monetary. And is it what I need at this time? So your messaging has to be clear so those people can get those answers to those questions. All right. So let's talk about how to actually clarify your messaging. Now you know what your messaging needs to include. Let's talk about how do we get the information? How do we actually clarify it? So first things first, I always say this. I'll say this until forever. And perhaps it has more to do with my engineering background, the fact that I manage a data analytics team. I don't know. But if you want to get clear on your messaging, it begins by actually looking at data. I know a lot of y'all like, I don't like numbers. Get over it. Business is numbers. So learn to love numbers. So if you want to clarify your messaging, it starts by actually looking at the data, And when I say looking at the data, a few things that you want to leverage data to determine is who have you helped in the past and have gotten the best results for. So you're looking to see patterns of people. What was the demographic? What were the psychographics more importantly? So where were they emotionally? Where were they physically? Where were they mentally? Where were they financially? Where were they, where were they at in that situation that they were able to take what you gave them to get the best results? So if you want to clarify your messaging to attract those same best people, you need to go back and look at the data and figure out, okay, what were the similarities? What were the trends in that data so that I can repeat the messaging or craft my messaging to be able to attract those people, okay? So that's the first thing. If you want to clarify your messaging, you got to start looking at your past data. Again, where were these people emotionally? Where were they mentally? Where were they physically? Where were they financially in order to be able to get those best results? So look back at your best clients. Who were your best clients? Who are your best clients? And let's start modeling our messaging to attract more people like them. And then what were the results that they got? So remember, one of the questions that we're going to ask is, what can you help them with? So you got to be abundantly clear on the transformation that you can provide for them. So what were the results that you were able to help them get by them working with you or going through your process? You need to be able to get that information so that you can clarify your messaging. The one thing that prevents most people from being able to get qualified leads and ultimately clients is they are not able to clearly articulate the transformation that they provide for their clients. They aren't able to say, hey, if you work with me, this is going to be the end result. Most people are very vague in that, oh, you're going to be more confident or you're going to be happier. Like, that's not quantifiable. So you need to be able to identify through your data the tangible and quantifiable results that you're able to get your clients. And if you can't do that, then it's going to be very hard for you to be able to attract clients who are really going to take you seriously. Because at the end of the day, when people are making an investment, they are investing for a return. They are investing for a result. So you have to be able to clearly articulate what that tangible and quantifiable results is going to be for them. If you are a career coach, are they going to get a new job? Are they going to get a promotion? Are they going to get a raise? Are they going to get a salary increase? If you are a health coach, are they going to lose weight? Are they going to shed inches? What is the quantifiable and tangible results that you're able to get them? So these are the things that you need to be able to articulate. And the way that you find that out is by going through your data and figuring out, how have I helped people in the past? And we apply all of those learnings into our messaging. So the other way that you're able to get the information that you need to create that W3 statement that I talked about is asking questions. So remember, I said, look at the data. Who are your best clients? Begin to ask those questions. Why did they want their issue solved? What was their pain and their desire? Because remember, the last part of that W3 statement is, why do they actually want the help? So you're going into their why. Why do they want that help and that support and that transformation? So then you need to be asking them, hey, why did you want this help? Why did you want this transformation? What's your ultimate why? What's your ultimate goal? And a lot of times it's usually tied to money. It's usually tied to one of the, 5 or 7 needs that we have in Maslow's hierarchy. It's tied to one of those things, but you have to be clear on that so that you can communicate that in your messaging as well. You can communicate, well, the reason that I'm helping you do this is so that you can get X, whatever their desire is. So you need to make sure you are looking at your data and also asking those questions so that you can clarify your messaging and start attracting more qualified leads. And when you get more qualified leads, that's more opportunities for you to actually get clients that will work with you and get the best results. And the cycle just keeps repeating it. So again, let's take it back to the top really quick. The 3 biggest things that you need to be able to clearly articulate in your messaging is what I call the W3 statement. And that's who you serve, what you help them with, and why you do it. And again, it's not your why, but their why. Why do they want their problem solved? What is their ultimate desire? Okay. At the end of the day, when people are considering working with you, they're considering your program, they're asking themselves 4 things that your messaging needs to be able to answer. And when I say messaging, I'm talking about your content. I'm talking about all aspects of how you communicate needs to be able to answer 4 questions. And that's, can this person help me? Will this work for me? Is this person who they really say they are? Can someone else validate them? is what they're offering worth the investment, and is what they're offering what I need at this time? So all of these things are things that need to be addressed in your messaging, and you need to clarify that messaging so that you are attracting those right people. We look at our data, so make sure we're getting right information about who we serve and how we serve them and the transformation that we can provide. And we want to make sure that we clearly articulate a tangible and quantifiable result that they will get as a result of working with you. And then, of course, you want to ask those questions to understand from their perspective why they want their problem solved, so that you can begin to articulate that in your messaging. One of the best things that you can do, and something that I recommend everyone do, is go back. And sometimes I do it on occasion, and I go back and like listen to calls that I've had with my clients. I listen to their onboarding calls. I listen to some of the calls that we've had within like the program, and I listen to the things that they say, hey, this is the reason why I enrolled. This is the reason I invested in the program. This is what I'm finding the most value in. So then I can go out and use their same exact words, plug it into my messaging, and start attracting people who want those same results, who have those same values, and have those same qualities and traits. That's how you clarify your messaging. And that's how you get really good at your messaging so that you are attracting the right people. As always, I hope that you found this episode helpful. If you did, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review. And with that, I'll talk to you in the next episode.